let's bring our special guest up here on stage. Join me, warm welcoming for my friend Boris from Concordium. Boris, GM, enjoyed the last time we had a chance to chat. First time on live stream though. Appreciate you joining us this morning.
It's always good to put a face to the voice.
Yeah, right. I know probably maybe caught a little bit of that last conversation before we jump into this AI trust race and all things Concordium. By way of background introduction, CEO of Concordium. Do you mind sharing a little bit about your journey into crypto, Web3, and quite frankly, anything else you'd like to share about yourself before we jump into it this morning?
Yeah, sure. Hi, thanks for having me on. Been in the space now, nearly 10 years. For that, founding partner and the chief commercial officer of Copper, which a couple of you might know, one of the largest custodians and prime infrastructure providers in the world. Left that because I wanted to build, other type of infrastructure, and ended up at Concordium, which is a very, very unique protocol that we're going to be talking about in a second.
I love it. We'll get the Concordium account on stage here in a bit. So if you're not already following them, you can. And I know we've had a team member on here a few weeks back, talked a little bit about Concordium, but excited for you all to hear it from Boris today. If we have time, if time permits, we might be open to a few Q&A at the end. Drop your questions in the chat down below. We'll do our best to get to them again if time permits. But for this, it's the first time you're hearing about Concordium. They are really, we're talking AI agents. They're doing more than just AI agents, but AI agents, they're creating content, they're making decisions, they're transacting on behalf of people and businesses. Trust becomes the next major infrastructure challenge. And while there's registries now, Ethereum's, was early to that. There's what happens if someone goes wrong, right? Today we're going to talk about and explore, how organizations such as World Network and Google, Visa, MasterCard, regulators, and Concordium are solving different parts of this AI trust problem. Boris will share a little bit from Concordium's perspective and specifically on accountability and why accountability is becoming essential for agentic commerce, how developers on Ethereum and Solana and more can access that trust layer without migrating chains. And I think it's all a really big deal. I'm not saying we're the only ones talking about it, but as you see so many AI conversations and all the cool stuff they can do, one of the things that I really do feel is lacking is, okay, what happens if something goes wrong? If someone, you talk about, you tell an agent to book a flight and you're thinking like a $300 flight. Next thing you know, it books a $3,000 flight. Who's accountable for that? Who do you go back to? Who do you, how do you get some support or reconcile that? And this idea of trust in the agentic world, seemingly to me, is it fair to say should be probably a foundational layer, something that maybe these big brands and businesses pushing out all this AI stuff might have been like step one, as opposed to, and it's great that Concordium's helping fill this gap today, but am I wrong in thinking maybe this should have been, one of the first things we launched when we're letting these agents transact and do so much on behalf of humans and businesses?
Yes, you're absolutely correct. It's like, if I take a couple of minutes, because sometimes I'm a little bit easier if I kind of go through it, because he said a couple of things there that are absolutely the core reason of why we exist. Look, nowadays, agents actually have already overtaken humans in internet activity, which I think a lot of people don't even know. They're not just browsing anymore. They're transacting, deciding, and acting on our behalf. But for the first time in history, really, something is acting that is neither a person or a corporation. So our entire accountability system was basically built on those two categories, and neither of them apply right now. So every prior wave of technology gave us time to kind of build guardrails before it scaled. This one is completely different. This one doesn't. The agentic economy, which a lot of people are like, it's quite easy to throw this name around, is compounding much faster than actually initially anticipated. And the infrastructure meant to make it safe is, kind of missing. So without identity, in the simplest form, autonomous action is just becoming a risk to what you basically said, right? It will kind of kill it in its infancy. You know, we kind of need to think about regulation on all fronts. I remember starting in crypto, regulation was way out. And now suddenly everybody is like flying on the Clarity Act and what's happening with Mika and et cetera, et cetera. Look what happened last week. Like everywhere, like exchanges had to leave the Europe specifically. But, you know, you basically, the way that I would like to kind of phrase it is that you kind of have to ask the self-driving car question, but at internet speed and internet scale. Meaning that when an agent gets it wrong, like you basically said earlier, who's answering for it? Mm-hmm. The person who built it or the one who deployed it? Like, where is this line? And we're shipping millions of economic actors, agents for a better word, onto the internet without with wallets, decision-making power, and most of them have no accountable human or business standing behind them. So like me looking into this, or for us as a business looking into this, this is like, it's terrifying me, and anybody that is looking into this and is paying attention to this, it should be terrifying them too. So what very quickly becomes apparent is that there is a missing puzzle piece. Like the identity part was never really the hard bit. The accountability piece is. Mm-hmm. So proving that an agent exists is not the same as knowing who stands behind it. Basically, that gap is the whole ball game. That's what it basically boiling down to. So. The agentic economy, I actually put this out in the post a couple of months ago, is like, it doesn't need more intelligence, right? Every new model that drops, like look what happened with Fable, right? Every model that drops ships smarter than the last one. Like it's better, it's faster, it's doing this, and now you can hook this up, and it learns this much faster, and it can code this much faster. What it's never had is accountability. And that's the piece that nobody built, which is also like when you think of like what happened with Fable 5 and like shutting it down for the world, was a major piece of news for me personally, but we can kind of talk about this separately. I mean, to what you said also, to kind of, you know, keep that thought going, and you can stop me, but I'm currently just want to download some knowledge.
That's great.
But,
no, keep cooking.
You kind of have, you know, standards like ERC 8004. Right? That tell you that an agent is consistent. That's all that it does. Basically, it's the same one that you interacted with yesterday is the one that you talk to today. Mm-hmm. That's basically it. What it can't tell you of who is responsible when it isn't doing the right thing. An agent registry tells you what's acting. An accountability layer tells you who to hold responsible. Those are two completely different products, and the industry built the first one and basically called it done. Or a lot of people kind of think it's done. In our opinion, it's absolutely not. And the conversation that we have with the huge stuff that is around the corner, if only the market would start to, you know, recover a little bit.
Do you think AI trust is becoming an industry-wide priority? Are others?
Yes, of course, it has to be.
Okay, so it's not just Concordium that sees this. Everyone, hey, we kind of missed the step here. We missed the key part.
Yes, the only thing that you can't fit it retrospectively. Mm-hmm. Like this is, you know, if you go to our homepage, it's basically one protocol for both, for humans and agents. It lives on the same infrastructural layer. It's not a built-on, you know, tool that you kind of use afterwards. So, to your point of like, you know, why is this important? Like we have loads of conversations, amazing conversations. I'd love to say more. For example, in the healthcare world, right? It's a scenario that I really like to use. An AI agent, and there are various businesses that are trying to do this right now, with access to patient records, for example, can read it, can understand it, hooks things up, and then basically recommends a treatment. But what happens is that the patient, you know, is harmed in whichever shape or form. So now the investigation begins, right? Mm-hmm. The agent exists, yes. The wallet exists, absolutely. The transaction history exists, but the responsible human or business doesn't. Now that's the gap. we got comfortable for some fucked up reason. We got comfortable with handing over data from 20 plus years of the application layer internet. Now we're about to hand agent the keys to our money and our decisions. Bolting accountability on after the fact isn't cutting it here. So do you see what the problem statement is? So if we kind of tie it back to Concordium, and what we are doing is, which was like when you think of like the cypherpunks and the ones that are, the hardcore, crypto army, we've been in the identity game since the beginning, over 5 years. Nobody wanted to piss on us, even if we would have been on fire, right? Because it would have been completely the opposite of what the entire industry was actually building. Mm-hmm. But we built the identity piece and the accountability layer, and we build it into the protocol. And that's the difference. Ethereum can't do this. Solana can't do. None of them will be able to do this. So as it stands today, Concordium is the only place where verified humans and businesses and verified AI agents live on the same identity layer. Mm-hmm. Not stapled together after the launch, but built into the protocol from day one. Then we take it a level further, where we use, zero knowledge proofs to confirm a real or verified human or business authorized this specific agent without ever exposing the privacy preserving nature of it. And the accountability doesn't require exposure. It requires traceability. So a stolen key can hijack an agent, right? Mm-hmm. It can't steal the identity behind it. That's the difference between securing a key and securing a person. And it's the difference between an app layer patch that you basically create in order to solve for a specific problem and the protocol level trust. Mm-hmm. So if you want to compare it, basically, the verified by Concordium badge that is available, and we've, go to our agent registry, you'll see, I don't know, between like 700 or 800 or 1,000 agents that are already registered. The difference is that, what can I compare it with? It's basically HTTPS, right? That it's the HTTPS moment for agents of what we've built. It won't stop every mistake, it can't, but it guarantees that when something goes wrong, there is a real human behind it who says, that's on me, that's my agent, right? So we built the agent registry to work wherever agents are already live, by the way. So it is interoperable with Ethereum, with Solana, what we have right now, Fetch, I think soon to be near as well. And not just Web3, also Web2 based agents, which is a very fast growing, if you think of enterprise adoption, they don't deploy agents on Solana or Ethereum. They deploy it in a Web2 where like Google and all those guys are coming in.
Is that...
and yeah, go on.
Real quick on the Web2 side, are most of them like internal, like inside of the enterprise, inside the business itself, or are there Web2 agents that are consumer facing that aren't on chain?
There are some consumer facing, but when I say Web2, they're deployed in the cloud by, you've got your metadata in the form of the agent card, and it basically just lives in a Web2 world instead of a Web3 world. Like that's the difference. But what the agent actually does is still pegged to the models that underpin it, right? So what we've done is we basically cover both worlds. So it's basically, we'll add the accountability layer your agent is missing wherever it runs. So every enterprise, if you think of it that way, adopting agents, let me basically rephrase it. Every enterprise adopting agents is an accountable entity by law, right? Mm-hmm. Yep. You have incorporation documents, you've got directors, you've got all this jazz. And that's what the system is being built for. Like I'm a director in companies. If I put my signature on something, I'm responsible. Yep. Right? So the moment an agent negotiates a contract or moves treasury funds or whatever, someone has to be able to say, I own that decision. Mm-hmm. We built the infrastructure that makes that provable. Nobody else has. Just unfortunately, the world hasn't fucking understood it yet. So this isn't about slowing agents down, because then you kind of, I had a lot of those conversations here, but now I have to do this extra step. It's like, no. It's all about having built it and giving it the guardrails in order to let them run at full speed. Mm-hmm. without anyone ending up, to your example earlier, on a first-class ticket to the Bahamas, even though they booked a plane to Amsterdam. Do you see what I mean?
Oh yeah. Well,
so the agentic economy, and that's I think the important part, specifically if you think of enterprises, because this number is being thrown around, and if you look at the numbers, the money that is currently being pumped into AI in the widest sense, you know, the agentic economy is projected to hit around 30 trillion by 2030. Nobody and nothing scales a 30 trillion economy on anonymous actors. Trust is the infrastructure, and the infrastructure is basically what we build. I don't
want to go back to it, but it's stuck in my head since you said it, and I haven't yet thought of this analogy. And it may you probably, it's like aha, you know, obvious to you, but just the idea of like the analogy of AI agents and trust compared to like a self-driving car. Like I drive a Tesla, I love it. I probably trust it too much. Like I get in the car and I don't think about driving. Like I feel safer with the robot driving me than I can drive myself, and got a pretty decent track record driving a car. But it's just better. It can think faster, it processes faster, it's got more eyeballs, there's no blind spots. It's just, I've seen it do things like in the dark and a rabbit runs across the road and it stopped, and it takes me a fraction of a second to realize why it's even stopping, because I don't see it as fast. And you use that analogy and it's like, I feel very safe and comfortable. I'm fully trusting my car to drive itself because I know who's accountable for it. I know that it is Tesla. I know that they have millions of miles on the road that they've proven that they are safe. Like data supports it. Whereas if you say, "Oh, I can go buy this,"
there are still things going wrong though. And if they don't, and if they do, you know exactly who to call.
Exactly. I think that's part of that trust I really haven't thought about. It's like, I know who to call. If something does go wrong, I know who's accountable. Whereas if I could go buy a car that it has all the same specs, it's just made by some startup I don't know who's actually built the modeling for it, or I don't know who's actually responsible, who's the enterprise behind the car, even if it's like half the price and it goes just as fast. It allegedly drives just as safe. But if it gets in an accident, I don't know who's accountable. I'm not going to drive that car, right? It's just like, and this may seem like, oh, we're not, that might be life and death where, an AI agent interacting for you on the internet. But from a financial standpoint, the market is just as big, if not larger. Like you talk about $30 trillion, that's massive. And you're right. Like it's just to think that that's going to happen with anonymity to like, it's not like an anonymous world is not going to get us there. Like it seems like hearing you say it and then me thinking through the self-driving car analogy, it's like, this is such a no-brainer. Every time I talk to you guys, it kind of blows me away that more people aren't talking about this, because it does seem like it's a non-negotiable. Like trust in the AI agent world it has to happen to achieve those numbers that everyone is almost unanimously agreeing like it's going to happen. The train has left the station, but will it happen if there's not this trust layer?
Correct. I mean, and the difference is it's basically both ways. So let's take another example, right? So here in the UK, we've got Deliveroo, like whatever you guys have over there, DoorDash or Uber Eats or whatever. If I give my agent the ability in order to pay for things, because now money is involved, right? First of all, I want to make sure that if he pings me, and I've got agents deployed all over the shop here, and he pings me and basically says, "Hey, it's Friday. You would like to order a pizza, you fat fuck," right? Which would be the normal response, the way that I prompted it. But it's like, it's Friday and you want a beer, right? Suddenly now you're in a regulated industry, because if you order alcohol, you need to prove that you're over 18, right? So, however, even more important is the way that I deployed it is like, you are ought to, if you order food from XYZ, make sure that you order it from, because I gave you access to my money. So make sure that you actually order it from Deliveroo and the money doesn't go to Jamal in Bangladesh, right? The way that all the registries and everything that exists these days, it basically just tells you, because you can just hook up any URL. You can say that you are Amazon, right? You just put the URL in and that's what you verify. That's what you register on those various agent registries that are currently in existence. The difference is if you hook it up if you hook it up to somebody that is accountable on the back, like that's the puzzle piece that's missing. And it goes both ways, because me going like, make sure that you pay the right person, the other side will know like, please make sure that that person is over 18.
Mm-hmm.
Please make sure that that person is in a place where we can actually deliver to, right? So not that we push an order through for 5,000 pizzas and then that guy just wanted to kind of a very Web 2 way of DDoS attacking the pizzeria, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's really what it comes down to. And that layer is like, loads of people are not like, they're not talking about the right thing. If you speak to the big enterprises like we do on a daily basis, they go like, well, I'm not letting this anywhere near external interaction, right, if I do not have that accountability layer. Mm-hmm. I can't, because then I've got a regulator, I've got a share price. If somebody needs to be held accountable. So how do we do this? We can have like, you know, an Excel sheet that says agent 123 belongs to Pete, right? But that's not going to do the trick either, because what the technology can do is far more complex than if you think in your analog shitty world, right? So that needs a solution. And again, we're the only ones right now that can do this.
Is this so? Wake
up, people! Wake up!
Wake up! I know you've launched on Ethereum, Solana. Is this are today's trust initiatives? Are they becoming complementary? Are other builders, whether chains or enterprises, do they view Concordium as hey, this is complementary, we need to be working with this guys, or are they viewing you as like a competing entity? How's the landscape?
Yeah, we build it in a way where we don't want to look. If you're an absolute fan of Solidity, right, stay there. Like, I don't give a shit. You will sooner or later realize that it maybe is not the best shit since sliced bread, but like that's down that's down to everybody's own decision making, right? But the reason why we built the stuff that we built last year is also in order to cover the entire payments flow, which is again, there is some huge stuff brewing, and if the market wouldn't be shit for a project like ours, we need to pick the time perfectly in order to kind of announce certain things. So I'm every interaction that we have absolutely rubber stamps, and also that is cross ecosystem, right? So what I'm to the Ethereums and Solanas and like everybody else out there, we're not a, you know, invasive species that is going to try to eradicate you. Absolutely not. Keep doing what you're doing. But since the regulatory framework, wherever we look, is tightening and tightening and tightening and tightening, this is something that you cannot build on that level. Mm-hmm. Just use it. Just use us as that accountability and trust layer. Please continue to build, ship, do whatever, pay, whatever you want to do over there, right? But then there are specific use cases that are if you think of e-commerce, if you think of healthcare, if you think of financial services, where having the entire payment stack makes sense to do this on Concordium fully or partially. It doesn't really matter. The whole idea is that it's supposed to be interoperable anyway, right? But for some reason, I remember the time 10 years ago when everybody was helping each other. Now everybody goes like, "Fuck off! This is mine." It's crazy.
You've been around that space longer than me, but I'm old enough to remember like interoperability used to be like part of the benefit of blockchain technology. It's why people are keen on change. It changes the game, but yet so many, not all, but it does seem to be so many of like they want to build their walled garden and like, no, we're not playing nice with anyone else. This is our thing, and we're gonna do everything that you're doing and then some. And it's like you're wasting.
Yeah, I mean this is where we can talk about, you know, the crypto industry macro wise. But like I think we even had a call about this some months ago. You know my feelings about it. I think as an industry we have failed horribly, abysmally, to build actually stuff that is usable. Which is why you now have, you know, all those things. Everybody sits there is like, well, I might actually need to build my own chain. Why? If Ethereum and Solana is so fucking great, why the hell don't you just use this? It's for free. Yep. Because it just doesn't cut the mustard. It's just not there in order to service an industry at scale in a regulated way. That's just because from its core setup, just to the point that we made earlier, privacy is a completely different thing than anonymity, and I made that point a lot of times, right? Anonymity is not the same as privacy. And if you have to be compliant, and you also should be compliant, because quite frankly, I've got zero interest of trading some shit with, Kim Jong-un or some wankers over in Iran. Like I've got no interest there, right? So I want to make sure that I trade with the right people. So, and every single law that exists, if you think of the US securities laws, it's supposed to be, there is a gate, and you either comply with it or you're not in. It's as simple as. And the crazy belief, and look, we're a little bit too far down the rabbit hole now. Because if you ask me, I wish that they would do this with clarity, like the cypherpunk in me. Like, forget clarity. Forget me. Like, we don't give a shit about the regs. We're just going to build the next economy. Deep down, that's the cypherpunk in me. If I would like to see, and there is also a big distinction between the technological layer, as in like blockchain, and the application that is crypto, there is a major difference. I would like to see the underlying technology to be implemented, which is basically what we've done at Concordium. We kind of stepped away from, all this meme coin bullshit. We talked about this the last time, right? That's solved. Let them solve it. We need to be able to abstract away the complexities. It's one of my favorite phrases that I'm using over and over since years. The blockchain is there to be used. It's not there to be understood. Everybody tries to fucking understand it. But you do not ask the question if you understand what the payments flow is once you buy your coffee at Starbucks, because you do not understand what happens behind the scenes. You just use it. That's what it comes down to.
No one's asking who the ISP provider, the cloud server, like no one cares. They just
who's the PSP, where, like who pays what along the value chain. Like nobody gives a damn. I want my coffee, and I only had to do beep. Like that's all that matters. So. In a nutshell, this is where crypto went wrong, and where everybody is now. Why, the big ecosystems, why are they down? Look, why are they down 85-90% from its all-time high? Well, I also don't think they will come back to those levels, because the pure speculators is that different forces are at play now, right? So, which also means you need a different kind of blockchain. Or different kind of infrastructure that is going to take it to the next realm. A lot of cool stuff was built, right? The idea of NFTs, awesome. The idea of DeFi, brilliant. The idea of like whatever it is, right? Tokenization, cool. But I remember during my copper days, there were people sitting there going like, hey, yeah, I'm thinking of tokenizing a Picasso and then selling. I was like, why the fuck would you do that at the current state? Like, it doesn't have any liquidity in its traditional state. Why do you think liquidity will magically appear in its tokenized form? So this is where, the thinking was wrong, but it's cool innovators that basically were sitting there and going like, what do we need to build? Like, that's where real innovation happened. Now, the application is a different thing, but like in terms of the tooling, our industry is completely and utterly fucked up. And this is where, Concordium is built different. It's just like getting the people that were, still licking their wounds of having lost 99.9% on their, cryptos or CryptoPunk or Ape that they bought in 2021, and will never get away to that price again. Maybe, I don't know. To go like, okay, let me ask the right question. And the beauty about it is you've got bloody AI to solve it for you now. Everybody has a research analyst team in the palm of their hand. So all you need to do is go like, who's actually building some real stuff? Who's actually doing something that is unlike everything that we know from like the, 2019 2018 cohort that is still now ruling coin market cap? Who's actually building something that is useful down the line? Because out of that, you can have completely new businesses that are going to be built. Because right now, for you to kind of go through, yes, you can use OpenClaw or Hermes or Strawberry or whatever, right, in order to kind of get an agent going. But like, code up an agent. There will be, however, businesses where you can just simply use specific prompts and just assemble them like Lego, like money Lego we did in DeFi, right? And then it's going. And then, however, by default, gives you that verifiable accountability and trust layer powered by Concordium.
Boris, you mentioned in passing, we've mentioned regulation a couple times. You threw our Clarity Act. I do want to come back to regulation here in a second. I got to pick your brain a little bit about this EU AI Act, which I believe goes into effect next month. Before we go back to regulation, though, I just want to double tap on like these businesses. I guess both businesses and individuals. Like, I'm tracking everything. Hopefully, I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward. Like how important it is for these agents to have an accountability layer, to be able to trust, to know who the agent's connected to, not just which business, but for those businesses internally, which product manager spun it up. Like all that to me makes sense. My question is, how are businesses and or individuals, how do you think as this plays out, as this plays forward, and let's say Concordium goes from 664 agents that are registered to 6 million, how do businesses then, how do you envision them deciding which AI agents that they can trust? Or will it be because they trust the overarching brand, the brand that launched it? Is it that simple? Do you have a different vision? I'll share this is their I'll bring up on stage here the dashboard, the AI agent or the agent registry you guys have. Do you envision businesses getting in there and searching for like keywords, or is that more of just like the back end behind the scene?
You don't. It's the back end behind it. Like that's the major difference that people do not understand yet. Of how, yeah, there it is. How many is it?
664. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can kind of see those are some Concordium native ones. If you go to the external ones there, 240. Like you click on that number, you basically see, there are some fetch ones, Solana ones. You basically see that. But ultimately, what it comes down to is that you're now being chosen based on merit. This is, again, let's go back to the coffee example. That is literally what it's all about. If I buy coffee, if I have an agent interacting, I don't need to worry. I should not worry about, is he interacting with the right counterparty, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if I stand, I mean, if I put the comparison in to a certain extent, right? I can basically rock up and you kind of have those things that are on top of, cash machines that basically take your code. So it's like, if I rock up to a cash machine that is outside of a bank building, like normally I would assume that I feel comfortable putting my card in and getting some cash out, right? But it's a process. The difference is I decided. If an agent starts to decide, he is deciding and using whatever models and prompts that are at his disposal to choose the best possible path for its human or enterprise-based owner. Which means that by default, you are in an economy that is choosing based on merit. Yep. It's a big difference. Because right now, what is being chosen by is like how much money do you spend for example, as a protocol to be headline sponsored consensus in Tokyo, right? And by that default, or you go to CoinMarketCap and you go or CoinGecko and you basically choose like, who are the biggest blockchains? And on that basis,
the biggest check?
On that basis, you trust it, just like you said earlier, right? Mm-hmm. You basically go and say, I bought a Tesla. If there is a new startup coming out, even though the car looks better and it's got all the perks and some, would you buy it? No, because you quickly go online, like Elon Musk is in your face constantly with his trillions of dollars by now. And then you go like, well, that guy obviously must be under a lot of scrutiny. The entire world knows about him. So I'd rather buy a Tesla. Like if I buy a self-driving car, I buy a Tesla. Like that's your decision-making process as a human. As an agent, completely different ballgame.
Yep.
Because you only exist to provide a service or provide decision-making based on serving an overarching purpose that is written down by an owner, right? And the fastest I can get from A to B, the cheapest I can get from A to B, whichever way this is, that's the route I'm choosing, irrespective of who spends the most money on marketing. Do you see what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
That's ultimately what it comes down to. So in terms of, if you think of the registry, because we're taking this a step further, by the way, which we haven't actually talked about, right? The registry is kind of allowing you to register that agent and giving it that human link. But what is about to come, which you also see on our roadmap, is the agent IDP, like the agent identity provider. Because right now you only have like a human and business identity provider, which are, think of the Onfidos and all those businesses out there, right? But if I now have an agent that is supposed to, bringing it back to the ordering pizza example and ordering a beer, the agent now needs to be able to prove that he's over 18, that he's doing this on behalf of somebody that is over 18. So I need to give those verifiable credentials to the agent, which sounds easy, You would go like, well, that should be easy. Well, only on Concordium it is. Because if you now need to disjoint, you can steal the key in order to kind of prove, like, if this sits in an application layer, your identity, problem. If it sits on the protocol layer and it all sits on the same layer, no problem anymore. Which means that I can now give, for example, not even my birth date, because on the zero knowledge proof basis, it just simply goes, are you over 18, yes or no? But every single digital interaction that we have these days, which I'm sure every listener here and you self and myself has experienced, which is one of the reasons why I love Concordium, apart from many other things, is like, why would I need to send everybody a copy of my passport? A copy of my driver's license? Why would they need to know what my height is, when exactly I was born? I need to prove to you that I'm over 18.
Exactly.
And then 6 months later, I need to read, oh yeah, the database was hacked, and I don't know, 70 million national insurance numbers of customers has been leaked. Great, they pay $20 million fine, and that's about it. Which is why you now suddenly have all those GDPR rules and everything that comes with it, because you need to kind of figure out, well, take proper care of it. But even then, it goes wrong. So the idea of Concordium is that you go through this KYC process once, and within the ecosystem, you can interact in a privacy-preserving way going forward. That's the whole point.
That's powerful.
If I go into a football stadium, I've got zero interest in order to hold up my national insurance number and my passport for everybody visible, right? Mm-hmm. If I want to buy a beer, that's all I need to be able to do, and that's it.
You mentioned GDPR there, so I think right back to the regulation question. Like, it seems to me that whether we like it or not, that regulation is going to be influencing, the future of trusted AI and kind of how we move forward. I sit in the US. I'm like tangentially familiar with this AI Act Article 50, where I believe it's to introduce transparency obligations for AI generated content in certain context, which I guess raises the question, like, I mean, is simply identifying an AI system enough? I would guess no. And this is regulation that probably plays right into what Concordium is building, no?
Yes, it does. 100%. Like, are you actually referring to the EU AI Act right now?
Yeah, the EU AI Act Article 50. I saw it's supposed to begin deploying in August.
Yeah, I don't have the Article 50 in front of me, but like, do you think your listeners know what the EU AI Act basically is?
I doubt it.
Okay.
Do you mind like giving us the TLDR?
I mean, in very short, what it basically does is it's sorting systems, AI systems, or it's regulating the way that you have to look at an AI system in whichever shape or form. It could be a model, it could be an agentic workflow, whatever it is, in specific risk tiers. So, for example, what's banned, like if you think of social scoring, market manipulation, for example, high risk. I think I can't remember what's in there. Think of law enforcement and stuff like this. And like heavy compliance requirements. Think of, if I have a chatbot, if I have a chat agent that basically interacts on behalf of HSBC, right, or a bank, like there are certain regulatory frameworks of like, what can it say, what can it not say, how can it interact, who can it interact with, etc., etc. So, what is the disclosure? How do you handle the data? And then minimal risk, which you don't have any extra rules really, which can be anything from, I don't know, using an agentic or using a model in order to do research, for example, right? So it basically covers general purpose AI models like any LLM out there. And subsequently, if you think of it that way, applies those rule sets to any company selling AI or AI-based content or services in the EU. And then there are fines in there as well, which I don't know of how they're being covered. I think right now they're really just like focusing on the big boys, like, Anthropic and OpenAI and those guys. And I think there is some fine about the amount of revenue of global revenue that they take, maybe 5% or something. I can't remember. And that's so it basically already, but that's not really the important point of the existence of why Concordium is there.
Mm-hmm.
The important point of the existence of Concordium is if you are running a business in a regulated area, you need to adhere to the compliance rules one way or the other.
Exactly.
So I can't just rock up to a bank and say like, I would like an account. And they go like, well, you've got a nice face. Here is it. It's like, no, that's not how it works. I will have to show them, what the blood group of my deceased grandmother was, right? So those are the problems that you are faced with. What you try to kind of figure out then is, if you think of like if we stay in Europe for a second, EIDAS and EUID, where people are actively building, including us, on making identity portable, meaning that you basically can live in the world where I can just scan a QR code at Barclays Bank and my account is open within a split second. Like that, basically, because I've done the same with HSBC already. Do you see what I mean?
Yep.
Because one of the reasons why I'm still with HSBC, I'm not going to slang HSBC right now, but I wouldn't call myself a fan, is it's an absolute pain in the ass in order to move to another bank.
Switch. Yeah.
If I have, but now I take it to the next layer and I can basically give my agent the prompt to go like, mate, sort this out for me, please.
It seems like such an obvious endpoint to get to from banking. You mentioned healthcare, like blows my mind how I can go to the same doctor twice and still have to fill out 17 forms just to check in. It's like you have to have all my information. Are you just shredding it? Are you not saving it anywhere? And then
I tell you something.
To a new doctor.
I tell you something right now, because I live such a healthy lifestyle. I wanted to renew or basically stack up or increase my life coverage support, policy for my wife and my children, right? The NHS here, which for some reason the Brits are very proud of that institution, absolute nightmare. I asked for my medical records. Guess how long this took? 4.5 months. Like, so meanwhile, the what's his face, the insurance broker is fucking pinging me from time to time. I was like, where is it? It's like, stop asking me. Like, this is so there are ways for us in order to make our life so much easier, so much more efficient, so much better. And what I always liked, actually, my business partner Dimitri at the time, who I started Copper with, he basically phrased it, which is nice, which is the place where we didn't end up, unfortunately, or at least yet, is that this technology layer, never mind the eye sprinkled on top of it, enables us in order to have a completely new fabric, a new cloth from which we can basically weave completely new products that up until now have not been possible due to the shitty, old school, antiquated infrastructure that everything is running on. And that's the missing puzzle piece, right? Which is why I also kind of like to abstract away from like pure crypto to what actually matters, which is the underlying technology.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the crypto space. I love blockchain technology.
Same here.
At the same time, like hearing like this conversation, every time I hear what Concordium's building, it's like this is a great example of blockchain tech and crypto solving real world problems. Like our medical records may not be exciting, it may not be sexy, it's not going to be the next $100 million runner, but it's like we've all felt that pain. If you've ever switched doctors, like you've felt, and it's like, hey, can I take an extra 20 minutes out of my life? But why? Like it shouldn't be that hard. And while solving for AI agent accountability certainly helps with transacting on chain, I think there's so many more layers to where I do believe this Concordium, and it has to impact almost every area of life if it's going to get to a $30 trillion industry, be it AI agents. It's just, this is something that far beyond our crypto bubble. This is really
it's going to dwarf it.
How we interact, right? It's like it's our society today. And
well, the different, I mean, the difference is also there was no real motivation to change things.
True.
Because people were like standing there and they go like, yeah, why does Bank of America not adopt this for this? Like, because nobody came with a solution that actually allowed Brian Moynihan or whoever is there now as the CEO to sack 60% of the company.
Mm-hmm.
Like the reason, like you can continue to do the things that you're doing right now. Everything was geared towards like trading faster. I've got like my data center right next to the NICE. Like this was like in my copper days. Like I was like, that was the whole discussion. It was like, but why are you not using this for everything?
Yep.
It's like, because nobody gave us the tools. The difference now is that AI kind of allows you to, and also due to the scalability of it, allows you to change workflows that have been the norm up until now, but also require by default a different set of underlying technology to run it on. Now, I'm not saying so. The stage is different now. Where we were walking around trying to flog people to buy Bitcoin or get an ETF out, like that's Mickey Mouse in comparison to what now is at stake. So, because the question always comes like, well, is AI is that the use case that actually makes crypto worthwhile? Well, to a certain extent, but it's not going to be the driving factor for stablecoin movements to go through the roof,
right.
Just because an AI agent doesn't have a face and doesn't have a bank account. Revolut's going to solve for this, or any other neobank, and subsequently even the old boring ass whales on Wall Street are going to solve for this too. But what it ultimately comes down to is that I now have an incentive to use a different layer of technology, because I can stand in front of my shareholders and basically say, if I use this, I can reduce our cost base, which means shareholder value goes up.
Yep.
And then they will take the decision, because you were always like at the merit of those gray-haired wankers in a boardroom that were like 3 years away from their retirement, and they're not going to take a risk. They will continue to contract
the way it's
IBM in order.
Fine. Exactly. Like there's
obviously
no incentive for them to change things. Like they don't.
And
care.
there is.
If it
Correct.
takes 20 minutes to fill out our paperwork, it's CYA for them. They're just protecting their downside risk.
What is it? What is that saying? Yeah. What is that saying? You won't get fired for hiring IBM.
Exactly.
Like that's a fact, right? So you might as well continue with that bullshit and go like, well, I'll wash my hands clean. But if the pressure now mounts to the extent of like saying, well, I can reduce my workforce by 60%. Okay, and there's like, how are we doing this? Well, we need to implement this technology, that rail, that database. We need to do that. Okay, what else can we do? It's like, well, we can in theory do payments. So now suddenly you then at the consumer level, where you can rock up to not to Steve Jobs, nobody rocks up to him right now, but to Jeff Bezos, and you basically go, how many people are working in your finance department? Well, have you heard of crypto at the time? Yeah. What do you know about the promise of programmable money? It's like, okay, so your entire supply chain can be programmed into the stablecoin, meaning that every single time one package is being handed over to one driver to the other and he scans it, a certain percentage that you said is automatically instantly appearing in this guy's wallet. So now you tell me that you would maybe want to get into this digital age, because right now there was no incentive. So let go of 5,000 finance people that are sitting there sending money from A to B or from B to A, because the package didn't arrive and I need to refund, right? You don't need them anymore. Yeah. So shareholder value goes up. Customers most likely will spend more. There's a completely new way of doing marketing. This is just one example, right?
I mean,
that's what was missing for crypto.
It's win-win, right? This future, it makes sense for the business. It makes,
but that's the only thing.
Experience.
But that's the only That is the only thing that is going to
They need to. No, you're good. This is like it really. I'm not just saying it because you're on stage with us here. It really is opening my eyes up to what AI is disrupting is more than just the tech side, right? It's oftentimes our flow, our customer journey, how we interact in life. It's providing new, better ways that now these businesses, these shareholders, they have an incentive to make the change into new tech because it's going to reduce their bottom line. But to do so, as these agents begin to act autonomously and handle real value and make real decisions and access, KYC type information, these organizations need to answer who deployed this agent, who authorized this agent, who's accountable if something goes wrong, and can accountability be verified without compromising privacy. Like that's stuff that I don't think any of us are thinking about. But all four of those things, like all these businesses have to answer. That's like if not Concordium, they're going to have to find a solution like it, right?
And as it stands right now, Concordium is the only one that can do that. It's just people don't know it. Because also it's not a sexy topic. It kind of got a little bit more sexy, the whole topic of identity, when AI was introduced, right? But like at the end of the day, like who the fuck wants to talk about KYC? Like nobody, including myself. But the matter of the fact is that nothing will work without it. Because with every single business, and in the last couple of weeks, I spoke to the biggest businesses on the planet. None of them is saying, it's just like on the trading side, right? If I go back to, when we talk about pure crypto, if you rock up in Canary Wharf or in New York, I was on all those in all those boardrooms and everywhere, and you always have like a couple of traders sitting there. They're like a racehorse in a gate. They go like, yeah, let's fucking go. I really want to trade this stuff. But they're not deciding. Is the chief risk and the chief compliance officer basically goes, well, how does this work? Where's the risk? How is this? Like, if this happens, what happens then? Like the front office people, they're like, let me off the leash, but they're not the ones deciding. This is where innovation goes to die, right? So now that's where the difference is, which is, asking the question of like, is AI the saving grace for crypto? Yes or no, is the wrong question. Is AI the catalyst or the incentive to make people rethink the existing infrastructure that they're operating on? That's the right question. Yep. And that only works if you basically solve, because the regulation is not going to go away. The regulation is going to get tighter, peeps. Like that is the sad bit. And once you then really innovate, because the system that we operate in right now is fucking old and very boring, and it's the same thing over and over and over again, right? But once you can kind of prove, oh yeah, we can do things like this, you can also get a regulator to learn of how to read a node, because that's all it needs. It's as simple as the amount of time I spent with the FCA and the SEC, BaFin, MAS, FMR, like all those regulators, they go like, this is a saving grace. Why are you guys so against it?
Yep.
It is a saving grace. Forget your SaaS reports. Like every single day, how many SaaS reports are getting sent? The FCI actually forgot the number, but it's like 15,000 per day. Oh, this was a suspicious activity. Do you think anybody is ever looking at this shit? No. So how about having real-time analytics giving you of like what's happening in the market? But you need to gate of like who's in it, entrance identity. If it's not a human anymore or a business, but actually an agent acting, who gives you that? Auditability, etc., or just simply the peace of mind that it's not Kim Jong-un or whoever the successor of fucking Osama bin Laden is, right? That's what it comes down to.
Yep.
And as it stands right now, we're the only infrastructure in the world that can give you this. WorldCoin doing some cool shit when it comes to personhood, right? Iris scans, great, yeah. Businesses, because that's going to be the enterprise part, is going to be the thing that is ultimately being pushed. You can have a business or an individual scanning their iris, great. But if Amazon wants to implement something, like how the hell are you going to do that? Again, it's a different layer. Entrance Concordium. And. Like it's endless. And which is why I say the beauty about it is now also like when we think of Concordium as a project, you have this research team of 100,000 analysts in the palm of your hand. This whole thing on every single post that I see, DYOR, yes. Now you can do it. If people said like do your own research, they only listen to what their neighbor said. But now you can actually ask the question. But generally the people are fucking lazy, so they don't really take the extra step of thinking beyond. Do you see what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Sorry to piss a couple of people off, but yeah.
It's fair. It's, we talked, I opened it up earlier. It's like, this seemed like such a foundational layer that's so important. Like, why wasn't it here first? And it's almost like not exactly, but almost like a chicken and egg type scenario where we almost needed this AI boom and LLMs to have the success they've had and agents to start running wild for the enterprises, for the decision makers to take it serious, because it's, the reality is like trust, accountability. It may not be the most exciting or sexiest thing in the world, but it's critically important. And now they have those incentives to justify taking it serious. And if they're going to move forward with bringing in agents throughout their ecosystems, they got to be able to be accountable. They got to be able to know who authorized it, who deployed it, who's accountable if something goes wrong. I think it's just it seems so obvious as we talk through this that
I know.
Like I really like it really not just blowing smoke, but like to push the space forward, not just crypto and blockchain tech, but to realize, I think, the vision that many people have as it relates to AI and AI agents and how it's going to change the world. Like this is such a key element. This is such a key piece to it that I don't know if we get there without leaders like yourself and Concordium building this trust layer, this trust infrastructure out, because otherwise we hit a roadblock. These businesses just aren't going to move forward if they can't connect those dots that you all are helping connect.
We're basically at the same point where we were with Bitcoin adoption years ago. It's like, and you ask this, and people ask us the question of why is it not like, look at the performance and look at this and look at that. And it's like, yeah, volatile, but like that can be managed. It's like because the incentive and the regulatory framework didn't allow it to happen. Mm-hmm. It's as simple as. And yes, it's not the sexiest topic, but like it doesn't matter of which way you skin the cat. Everybody, every single human being, and every single business is underlying that system. Mm-hmm. That's the reason why you have a passport. Like you can now ask the question, like, why do I have a passport? Right? Why do you have a passport? What's it for?
To what is your identity? Prove who I am, right?
Yeah, but like, what is your identity? Mm-hmm. What is it? You is you, right? Why do I need to have a little booklet where somebody puts a stamp in it? Like, what's the point of it? So it's like, but this is where then, let's do digital mm-hmm. passports and like all this kind of stuff. So there is movement, but the matter of the fact is you cannot close your eyes to the fact that every single interaction that you have is based on the fact of you being able to access a service. And I always like to kind of use that example because I am a smoker. I remember the days when you had to go, and I think some of those machines still exist, where you had to put a bank card in to prove that you're over 18. Because if you're not over 18, you don't have a bank card. Because the bank says you can't have one. Okay, you can take it out of the purse of your daddy and do it. Guilty, right? But it's like at the end of the day, so you need to solve for that problem too. Mm-hmm. And that's the reason why this set of regulation is so tight. If you take it in a way and you simplify to the extent of taking it onto one protocol and then add the agentic piece on top of it, that build you can only do from the outset. And there will be new chains. Like I said this the last time, I don't want to wish any harm on Anatoly or Vitalik or all those guys that are there. Charles, even though that guy is like losing his marbles constantly from one side to the other, but incredibly smart. But it's like, will those be the chains that are going to be the ones that are ultimately make the world adopted? That's the question you need to ask yourself. And unfortunately, things like KYC, AML, identity, specifically if you talk about agents doing millions of things on a daily basis, billions of things on a daily basis, you cannot disregard it. And if you would like to see a world like this, you need an infrastructure like Concordium. It's as simple as.
Yep.
Like Concordium or Concordium. Like I'm still yet to see one that has built something like us. Live in production, ready to use.
I wholeheartedly agree. And yes, today there's EU regulation coming. You mentioned Clarity Act in the States. It's inevitable. At some point, it's global. Like you may live in a region that there's no AI regulation. You can go wild today. It's only a matter of time before the regulators come in and require. I mean, first of all, it seems like common sense. Like the consumer, the enterprises certainly want to know who's building these agents. The consumer certainly would want to know who deployed it, who authorized it, who's accountable if something goes wrong. Even though that just makes sense, I still think it's going to be, at some point, regulators are going to come in and it's going to be a hard requirement. So for those that are building in the agentic world, like it just would make sense, and my opinion, to get ahead of it, get that Concordium badge today, register the agent, and it just builds a better agentic landscape. Boris, I apologize. We kept you a little long today. Really enjoyed the conversation as always. Appreciate all that you are building. Is there anything we didn't touch on today? Did you have any final words, closing thoughts, anything you wanted to share with the audience that we didn't yet hit on?
No, again, do your own research because these days you can, and keep your eyes peeled because there's some big shit around the corner. Which is, when we talk about real world adoption, that's what it comes down to. So yeah, I'm I'm very excited, and yeah, in many ways, what an opportunity right now, also where we are with the market.
What a time! Yeah, what a time to be live. It really is exciting, and Concordium's doing more than just the layer. I mean, like what you're doing with the Danish hockey team. Like, I think there's you probably have a viable business just in building a new and improved customer loyalty and customer interaction experience, like you're doing with the hockey team. Not to downplay that at all, but this agentic is a really, really big deal.
There are many ways, of how this is. For me personally, it really comes down to the fact of verifying that an agent is of who he says he is, and if you equip him with money, also to abstract the risks that are currently existence in the form of smart contracts acting as custodians, etc. Which is, if you think of Concordium, there are the three core USPs: identity for both humans, businesses, and agents; PLTs, protocol level tokens, protocol level issuance, L1 issuance, not like ERC issuance, like protocol level issuance, and protocol level locks, which is basically an on-chain escrow, which you then solve for like longer dated transactions where you have to think more about the time value of money. Those are the three core puzzle pieces. The shit that you can do with this is mind-blowing. And the quicker builders are waking up, which they will, it's just a matter of time.
Agreed.
But like AI definitely is the catalyst right now, because that's a question that is coming at light speed, not in the media, but like in the conversations that we're having with the big boys. That's what it's all about.
It's awesome. Well, really enjoyed the conversation. We'll have to do this again. I guess in closing, just to kind of summarize for all, I think most would agree the industry is both crypto and enterprise at large entering a new phase. Building smarter AI agents is no longer enough. Like, they're going to continue to get smarter, but we have enough intelligence. It's now the next challenge. The challenge that you are solving is building AI that can be trusted from governments, AI companies, payment providers, healthcare, blockchain infrastructure, all these
individuals.
Exactly. Right. And I think Concordium's focus on accountability, bringing this verifiable trust layer to AI agents without requiring developers to leave their existing ecosystems. That's really key. The fact that you're working with Ethereum, working with Solana, why not would be the question. Why would you not want your agent, unless you have malicious intent? Why would you not want it verified and prove that you're the one who deployed it, or you're the organization that deployed it, right?
Correct.
Awesome. Boris, real pleasure. Appreciate your time today. Enjoyed the conversation. We'll let Boris get out of here. We do have a Coffee with Captain Claw pool coming up. Someone's going to pull the silver TCG machine from BZ. But Boris, thanks again. Really enjoyed it, and thanks not just for your time, but appreciate you solving some real world problems that isn't just helping push the blockchain space forward, but I think society at large. Not to be cheesy, but it's a really big deal.
Cool, man. Thank you very much, guys.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.